YouTube, how's it going? Heir of Carthage here, and this is some Rome 2 Total War online action. This is the Battle of Migdol, according to the game. I'm playing as Carthage, seen here, and my teammate, the Prussian Prince, is playing as Ptolemaic Egypt, which is here. Our opponents, we have one over here, which is Athens. I don't think it shows their name during the review. It does not. I can't remember this player's name right offhand. It shows it on the replay screen. And then over here is Epirus, and you can see that they are playing some Greek heavy onagers. So I'm actually going to, I guess just briefly, I'll kind of explain the armies that we have. From the overview screen, I've got 4 Balearic Slingers, 5 Sacred Band infantry, 4 Libyan infantry, which are my swords here, and then I've got 4 melee cavalry, each of which is a mercenary Iberian cav. Prussian Prince has a line of Galatian swords in the rear and a line of thorax pikemen up front, and then he's got mercenary Cretan archers and some Egyptian cavalry. Not a whole lot of cavalry from Prussian Prince. He's gone infantry heavy. My opponent has a line of pikemen, line of javelin men, and then a few thorax swordsmen, and then he has several units, about 5 it looks like, of Hippeus lancers. And what you can see from Epirus right now is 3 mercenary Cretans. You can see 3 Hellenic Royal Guards, a unit of hoplites there with 3 upgrades, his heavy onager, Aspis Companion Cavalry, which is a dangerous unit, and then he's got a Hellenic Royal Cavalry here. So that's what we can see so far. Let's get back down to the battle. That makes it a little bit easier. And I have got to get you all some, or actually let's get that back on. I've got to get you all some down in the nitty-gritty of this kind of footage. Actually, we could do that just as well. I'll just use the K button to turn this off, and this is on my side versus, yeah, this is where I'm facing off Carthage here, and then Athens over here. I want you all to see how devastating these Balearic Slingers can be. So here you can see my first rounds of stones coming in, and these pikemen are not guard units, and they're not extremely heavily armored. They are somewhat armored, but I mean, Balearic Slingers pack a punch versus armor anyway. And you can see my guys here, with no screening being done here, these pikemen are extremely vulnerable to my missiles. So my opponent decides to move in his javelin men, and you can see his javelin men running forward here in an attempt to come get my slingers. And of course, I don't have to let my slingers be had. I can run them back, and then right here you can see some of my Iberian cav charging out of the scrub. So I'm going to keep his javelin men at bay, but my opponent really ought to go ahead and use his cavalry and help push his javelin men forward. He's going to need that, because right now my Balearic Slingers are just absolutely wreaking havoc on his men. So you can see men going down here quickly. I find that slingers are much better at killing infantry quickly on this game, plus they have a range advantage. However, archers, if it just comes down to like a ranged fight where you let the two get within range of each other and fight, archers will typically beat slingers. But the slingers do have a range advantage, and you can skirmish the archers, and you can effectively pull your opponent into a position in which he does not wish to be. So here, look at the battle already. These guys are upset or tired or hurt or who knows what here, but you can see that the like I said, my slingers taking their toll. Look at this unit of pikemen here, almost completely devastated, where they're just getting hammered by all my units of slingers. This one runs forward as well, trying to support its units, but then eventually has to turn around and run away, which is going to be absolute doom. So you can see these guys getting nailed from behind. So just a hail of stones here. My opponent definitely should have been better prepared to use his skirmishers against my own. Here he gets a few javelins off, but it's too little too late, so his guys are just going to be getting peppered by stones from all 4 of my Balearic Slinger units. And again, I used my cavalry here in order to try and keep his skirmishers at bay. I'm going to leave the unit flags off for just, well, I mean, I'll show you kind of what it looks like with them on, so it's a big mess. I'm going to leave them off for just a minute so you can kind of see what's happening. But just for the sake of battle lines, let me show you what's going on here. My Libyan infantry engaged some pikemen here. Wasn't the smartest engagement for me. By the way, this is a replay, and it's going to be somewhat bugged, so it's not perfect. But look at that artillery shot, just went right through his own men there. So artillery is a, it can be effective, and it can also be a waste of time. Let's get you some good views. From down here in the scrub, we can see the artillery flying in. If we look, and then you got the flaming arrows coming in. Check out this scenery. I mean, this is incredible. This is one of the things about Rome 2 that they got right. The scenery, the flaming arrows, The dramatic effect here, this is incredible. I mean, down here, it really kind of puts you into the feel of the nitty-gritty when you get everything turned off. And then look at the onager shot. We'll see if we can catch its landing. I'm trying to move back to where it's at. Nope, it's still hit behind me. Here comes a few more. So yeah, here comes an onager shot. Boom! Hits that line of sacred band that I have there. So artillery can be effective on this game. I don't really have time to explain it all now, but here you can see that Epirus is being pushed back. They have this Apsis companion cav and Hellenic Royal Guard cav here, but it's not being used to effectively push on our back. Plus, it would probably get a little bit out of place. However, you can see that Prussian Prince actually switched the majority of his troops to this side. We've basically turned away from the Epirote player, which is trying to defend his artillery, and now Prussian Prince can effectively put pressure over here because my slingers so badly devastated the Athenian army. And if you look right here, all these bodies on the ground, those are the Athenian troops who died in the hail of slinging stones. So you can see that a significant portion of their army died at the hands of my slingers. And here are the Balearic slingers, some cool units indeed. But you can see now they're going to reap some artillery fire, and it's going to be pretty painful. But my guys still have a lot of stones left, and we can keep going here. I do have some, I have a lot of my sword troops now on this flank. I'm going to use them to try and push back this Apsis Companion Cav and Hellenic Royal Guard. It's possible that those units could rout my Iberian, or my, these are Libyan swords, by the way. Let me show you them up close. These are pretty good sword infantry. They're not amazing, but they're not a slouch unit either. They're pretty good for the price. Good flanking unit. Probably not good for your head-on unit of any type. Some of you may notice I'm using Sacred Bands here. I haven't used the Sacred... Well, obviously I haven't shown you any videos, really. The Sacred Band infantry serves a pretty specific purpose when I use it, and you'll see that purpose here later on. You can see that we've effectively pushed these people back to a defensive position. There's a front line of Hellenic Royal Guards here, and you can see that Prussian Prince pulled back from them with his Galatian Royal Guard. He didn't want these guys to get into phalanx mode, because attacking any phalanx unit from the front, unless you have a superior phalanx unit, is absolute suicide. So here you can see our slings and bows cutting down these hoplites as they retreat back to their own lines. So let's take a look at the overall field of battle again. So you can see my team is the line of yellow here, and we have a partial envelopment going. And you can see how the lines have shifted, and now here's the onagers. Actually, if we turn it around, this is probably more of the direction that I looked at it to begin with. So you can see we've shifted and we're now surrounding our opponents, and the devastation caused by our skirmishers has been massive. And you can see that in every small engagement that's taken place here, we've tended to gain a further advantage over our opponents. So it's been good for us so far. And here, for some reason, these javelin men come very close to our lines. And then whenever I countercharge, my men are throwing their own javelins as well. I do have some Libyan infantry there that are like kind of just standing there like idiots. But, you know, the replays are bugged. I'm not going to say that they may not have just been standing there like idiots anyway, because that I don't know. And here, look, I actually let this Libyan infantry get caught. I shouldn't have done that. But some of them kind of scoot up into this phalanx here. You can see that that's going to be a good thing for me. As they scoot up into the phalanx, my guys are going to do better in a melee fight, as their statistics are superior in hand-to-hand combat. And without the bonuses of the pike infantry there, my guys will do better than they should otherwise, facing head-on into pike infantry. You can see my guys actually winning that fight at the moment. This is not typical. Don't expect this kind of thing to happen very often. Out here, this unit of Libyan infantry is rather exposed to this Hippeus Lancer and some of this other cav here. I'm not really sure why my opponent didn't charge them at this point, because I honestly didn't realize that I had them so exposed. It looks like they are busy chasing a routing unit of cav that I had them assaulting earlier. But the battle lines continue to shift. Here I had a Sacred Band unit and some more Libyan infantry that I was using to help Prussian Prince push back the Epirotes. And we have effectively pushed them back quite a ways. I'm now moving my war elephants. This is where my general is at. He's somewhere up on top of one of these elephants. I'm not sure which one's him, actually. It'd be kind of fun to see if we can find. None of them appears to have any particularly special appearance to them, but one of these men is my general. No idea which one. Maybe the dude in the gold helmet here. He looks pretty cool. Yeah, I'm guessing that's him, because he's the only one that looks different. But yeah, I'm taking my war elephants out to the flank. Again, here's what the battle looks like. We've basically pushed our opponents back, and it's kind of just hit and miss attacks going on right now. Here you can see these Hippeus Lancers headed to the back of these Galatian Royal Guard. Prussian Prince going to countercharge them, but that's going to be a pretty effective cab charge there. You can see his men starting to waver. But the other Hippeus Lancer unit in there is also just routed. So now it's these Hippeus Lancers versus 80 of these Galatian Royal Guard, and that's not really the fight that they want to be in. Over here I've engaged these Libyans against some of his cavalry that he was not keeping microed. So my Libyan swords are going to be able to get some kills here, but it's not going to be an ideal fight for him. You can see that they're taking losses pretty quick, as these Hippeus Lancers are not necessarily great melee cav, but they have decent statistics and armor. You can also see that I'm running infantry to support them, and I've got this African War Elephant unit bearing down on this engagement, and that is an engagement that my War Elephants would love to take place, or love to take a part of, as they will excel in that type of engagement. I do wish that they would change elephants just a little bit for this game. Now, elephants are deadly, don't get me wrong, and they can be used to pretty good effect depending on how you use them, but I don't like their momentum characteristic. When you charge them into enemy cavalry or into enemy infantry, they just stop like a brick wall, and it's not very realistic, and it doesn't create that kind of punch-through effect that you would expect from elephants. And again, I don't want these guys to be overpowered to the point where they just trample entire armies, but I think that they need to do something with these elephants in order to maybe make this situation just a little bit better. I'm trying to think if I called off the elephants because I was getting chased by this unit of pikemen. That may be it. I don't recall, to be honest. Again, replays are bugged, and so it's hard to say. Yeah, I don't really know if this happened in the actual battle. I don't think that it did. I was pretty sure that I got engaged with this cav fight over here. But my elephants are going to trample these guys nonetheless. So, those guys shattered. You can see in the main fight, Prussian Prince and I are now cornering up the remaining Hellenic Royal Guard of the player who's representing Epirus. And if he had enough of these Hellenic Royal Guard, they would indeed be a pretty big threat. And here comes those elephants now. Yeah, so in the real fight, my elephants actually did get to this engagement and help turn it. So now you're going to see a bit of a buggy engagement, and after that engagement was over, these guys were dead, and I decided to charge these Apsis companion cav, who are now countercharging my elephants. So here you can see my elephant's going to engage that companion cav, and then I'm also getting my elephants hit with flaming arrows. So this is would otherwise be an alright engagement for my elephants, but not because of those flaming arrows being there, and of course these guys weren't there to begin with either. And that's going to play some role here as well. My slingers are pretty much out of stones at this point, but I will get you some up-close shots of the upcoming infantry fight, and here I'm going to show you what I like using Sacred Band for. At least this was just taught to me. I didn't know that this was the case. You're going to see me move them up right in front of these enemy pike phalanxes in a very dense formation. So Sacred Band have a very high armor statistic. Whoa, what's going on there? That's not what I wanted to do. I meant to zoom into my Sacred Band. So here we go. So what I'm going to do is use their high armor characteristic to force my way into this pike phalanx by using a move order. And now that I'm in the phalanx, because of the high armor, I'm going to stop clicking the move order. I'm not going to pull through my opponent all the way, but this gets my guys into the thick of battle here. And now they can fight these pike phalanx on their own term. Now, I do take losses doing this. Some people think this is cheating. Some people think it's okay. I think if you pull all the way through this phalanx and like just rip through it that way, it could be cheating. But I mean, you are going to take losses the whole time. It's not like it's some kind of guaranteed. So I don't know what I think of this yet, but it works. And it's one way that you can actually even the playing field with these elite pikes, but it only works if you have a very high armor unit, such as the Sacred Band Hoplite. Now the Sacred Band Hoplite would lose in like a melee fight. If I've gotten engaged in melee with Roman swords or something like that, it would not go well. But otherwise my Sacred Band will do pretty darn well in a fight like this. You can see that I'm doing this all across the board, so I've got my Sacred Bands mixed up into his Royal Hellenic Guards. And like I said, in an up-close and personal kind of fight, my Sacred Bands will do very well. Hoplite Phalanxes are nothing in this game like they were in Rome 1, so don't expect them to behave that way. The Hoplite Phalanx just gives you basically bonuses to defense. It's nothing like the Hoplite Phalanx of Rome 1, which is similar to the Pike Phalanx of this game. I know it's probably hard for you all to understand this game as far as multiplayer at this point, especially if you're new to it. I'm still learning a lot about it, and I have to tell you all, this game is not as easy to learn in the multiplayer format as Shogun 2 was. And some of you thought Shogun 2 was kind of hard to understand. But this game is difficult to learn, and it's not going to follow the same train of thought that you used in Shogun 2. It's going to be different. So don't expect things to work in this game the same as they did in Shogun 2, because it won't work that way. And again, my guys are the guys here in the purple, fighting against these Hellenic Royal Guard, which are kind of the orange and gold colored guys there. And so you can see, again, my guy's doing very well in an up-close and personal type of fight there. Prussian Prince has moved his troops in, and pretty much all the Epirot troops have broken at this point. And you can see that they're in pretty much in full retreat, I believe. I think this is actually a unit of Epirot troops here, coming in for a gallant death on the front of a Pike Phalanx. I don't know if the word is gallant as much as it is absolutely suicidal, but I mean, they didn't have any chance left at this point, so this is probably our opponent just, you know, making things get over with. Here's my Iberian Cav here that have been engaged into the back of some units. Very cool looking units, but they're very cheap units. And to be honest, like I said, Carthage has no good cavalry, so they're not really a good cav faction. And I'll have a discussion. I just really wanted to use this battle to show you a little bit of online play, and to also get you all some footage. Actually, maybe those... No, those aren't my Spanish cav. Never mind. Those are my Sacred Band fighting against probably an Apsis companion cav. I could be wrong. Let's find out. Yep, that's an Aspis companion cav. So this is actually a very tough melee cav unit. Very much a threat. But to my hoplites, they will be able to handle this. But if this was a sword unit that these guys had charged, it might have been a much more dangerous scenario. Yeah, my Sacred Band ought to do all right against this unit. Apsis Companion Cav is one of the deadliest melee cavs in the game, and that's going to be the end of the battle. Again, there is no replay screen or anything here, but stay tuned here, folks. I'm going to have a... Well, actually, I'll do it in a separate video. I hope you all enjoyed this. That ended up being a pretty clear victory for Prussian Prince and I, and you can see the devastating results of this battle. Pretty cool here. The effects and the landscape, very beautiful. I think there's a lot of things about Rome 2 that need to be polished and made better, but there's a lot of things about it that are very epic and that make the game very interesting. Check out some of my Balearic Slingers here running away. I threw them into melee, I think, and then of course these are, I think somewhere down here, some of the, yeah, a lot of these are Prussian Prince's pikes chasing down enemy units. So, and those are my Iberian Cav right here, actually. The guys, especially this guy right here, I mean, he's looking pretty nice, huh? I think he's saying this is Iberia, you know, just like the Sparta guy. So that's the way we'll end the video, with the screaming Iberian proclaiming Heir's victory. You can see the game is so detailed. You can actually even see the tattoos and mud marks and stuff here on his arms. Pretty incredible. So the level of detail in the game is phenomenal. Hope you all enjoyed this. I'll be back with some more footage and discussion of multiplayer. The next video I make will kind of be a little bit more boring in terms of what it's showing you, but it should show you a good overview of some of the unit stats, and I'll give you my advice. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Signing off for now.